Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual on Firstpost, where we get you the top 50 stories from around the world. I'm Alison LaGrange, coming to you live from Durban, South Africa. Let's begin. In our top stories, the United States has urged India to take Canada's allegations seriously. Canada alleges that India is involved in the killing of the Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Both Canada and India expelled each other's diplomats after the latest allegations came out. However, the US wants India to cooperate with Canada in its investigation. Canada had named India's High Commissioner to Canada as a person of interest in the investigation pertaining to the killing of Nijjar. Jagmeet Singh, the leader of Canada's New Democratic Party, has called for strict action against India. He wants sanctions to be imposed on Indian diplomats and a ban on the RSS, the ideological mentor of India's ruling party, the BJP. Singh's remarks come amid the ongoing diplomatic row between India and Canada. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has said that India made a quote-unquote fundamental error by supporting criminal acts on Canadian soil. India has dismissed the allegations, calling them a part of Trudeau's political agenda. India's main opposition party, the Indian National Congress, has urged Prime Minister Narendra Modi to take all political parties into confidence amid the worsening ties with Canada. Now, the Congress has asked the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi to hold a discussion on the matter. The party spokesperson, Jairam Ramesh, has called it an extremely sensitive issue. An Air India flight from Delhi to Chicago received a security threat yesterday. It made an emergency landing at Canada's Iqaluit Airport. Air India said that both passengers and the aircraft itself were re-screened. The airline added that it has been subject to a number of threats in recent days. And the US has warned Israel that it may block military assistance. The US has told Israel to improve aid delivery in Gaza, or it will stop sending military supplies. In a letter sent to Israel, the US highlighted several steps that should be implemented within 30 days. It has also told Israel to let at least 350 trucks of aid enter Gaza every day. Meanwhile, Israel launched fresh strikes at the southern part of Lebanon's capital, Beirut. This was after Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu rejected the idea of a ceasefire in Lebanon. He said that a ceasefire would leave Hezbollah at Israel's northern border. Netanyahu's remarks came even as the US criticized Israel over its actions in Lebanon and Gaza. Israel insists that there must be a buffer zone along Israel's border with Lebanon, with 0 Hezbollah fighters present. Hezbollah launched 50 rockets towards northern Israel earlier today. The rocket attack set off air raid sirens in the town of Safed and the surrounding areas. In a statement, Hezbollah confirmed that it had launched a barrage of rockets toward northern Israel. The Israeli military says that some of the projectiles were intercepted. And Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi warned Israel of a regretful response if it retaliates to Iran's October 1st attack. Araghchi said this to the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres during a phone call. Iran had fired about 200 missiles at Israel on the 1st of October. Since then, Israel has been planning its response. Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant has vowed that Israel's response will be deadly. Italy's Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has said that she will visit Lebanon on Friday. Meloni is set to be the first head of state or government to visit Lebanon since the escalation between Israel and Hezbollah broke out on the 23rd of September. So far, at least 5 UN peacekeepers in Lebanon have been wounded by Israeli fire. Meloni has criticized Israel's actions. She has also opposed Israel's calls for the UN peacekeepers to withdraw as it targets Hezbollah. And US President Joe Biden said that Kamala Harris will cut her own path if she is elected president. Biden said this during a campaign event for Harris in Philadelphia. Biden said that he was also loyal to former US President Barack Obama, but he paved his own path as president. Now, this comes after Trump and his Republican allies took a swipe at Harris for her comments during a recent interview. When Harris was asked how she would have done things differently compared to Biden, she said, and I quote, "There is not a thing that comes to mind." And US authorities have slapped a record fine of $4 million on the German airline Lufthansa. The penalty was imposed because the airline discriminated against 128 Jewish travelers. The air carrier blocked them from boarding a flight in the year 2022. Passengers were not allowed to board a connecting flight after a few of them did not follow the instructions. The flight was traveling from the US to Germany. The second day of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, or the SCO summit, has begun in Pakistan's capital, Islamabad. Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif welcomed SCO leaders to the event. The attendees included leaders from China and Russia and other SCO member nations. India is being represented by External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar. During the session, Jaishankar took a veiled jibe at Pakistan. Without naming the country, he said that if activities across borders are characterized by terrorism, extremism and separatism, then it becomes difficult for India to encourage trade, connectivity and people-to-people exchanges. Omar Abdullah has taken oath as the first Chief Minister of the Indian Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. His party, the Jammu and Kashmir National Conference, won the first assembly election after the abrogation of Article 370, a move which removed Kashmir's special status and transformed it from a state to a union territory. Japan's government has warned against an escalation on the Korean peninsula. This comes after North Korea blew up sections of roads and rail lines along its border with South Korea. Pyongyang targeted infrastructure linked to the south. Seoul conducted a counter-fire operation in response. Meanwhile, North Korea claims that more than 1 million young people have signed up for or rejoined the army this week. The statement came after North Korea accused South Korea's military of sending drones into its airspace. Pyongyang has warned Seoul that any further drone flights will be considered a declaration of war. North Korea has also ordered its military personnel at the border to prepare to attack. And in climate news, intense monsoon rainfall is wreaking havoc in the Indian city of Chennai. Reports say that over 300 localities have been inundated. 12 flights were cancelled at Chennai Airport yesterday. Schools and colleges in the city have been shut. At least 300 relief centres have been set up in Chennai to help people affected by the rains. And over 60 million people are under frost or freeze alerts in the central and eastern US. They are set to face the coldest air since the spring of this year, with temperatures feeling more like November. Temperatures are expected to plummet 10 to 15 degrees below average by midweek. The cold snap could last through Friday before temperatures return to normal by the weekend. The University of California, San Diego has introduced a new graduation requirement starting this autumn. All students must take a course related to climate change. This is to equip students for the future challenges they will face due to the global climate crisis. The course will focus on scientific foundations, human impact, and mitigation strategies. And medical schools across Europe are integrating climate change into their curriculum. This is due to the growing health impact of the climate crisis. The curriculum changes will ensure that future doctors are trained to recognize and treat what are usually tropical diseases like dengue and malaria. The initiative has been launched in 25 medical schools and will reach over 10,000 students. Experts at the Intergovernmental Scientific and Political Platform on Biodiversity have warned that some efforts to tackle global warming can unintentionally harm biodiversity. The experts have cautioned against false solutions like geoengineering, which may cause environmental damage. Actions like injecting iron into oceans or building hydroelectric dams can harm ecosystems. The scientists are calling for a coordinated approach to address climate change and nature protection together. And on to business and tech news now. The World Bank has freed up $30 billion in extra lending capacity for the next 10 years. The move was announced by the bank's president, Ajay Banga. The global lender made changes to its internal lending guidelines yesterday. It allows the World Bank to take more risks and provide debt to developing countries. Ajay Banga said that the move was recommended by the G20 nations grouping. And plane maker Boeing has announced plans to raise up to $35 billion. About $25 billion will be raised by selling more stock and issuing debt. The rest of the funding will come from a credit agreement with major banks. This comes as Boeing's factory workers in the U.S. have been on strike for over a month. The strike has halted the plane maker's production and delayed deliveries to airlines. And Canada's Labour Ministry has intervened in the ongoing strike by Montreal port workers. It has proposed appointing a special mediator. The ministry is also asking for a 90-day halt to the strike for negotiations. Last week, about 1,200 workers at the Montreal port launched an indefinite strike. They are demanding better wages from port operators. And European car maker Stellantis is reportedly expanding its factory in northern Mexico. It plans to start making the Ram 1500 pickup trucks at the facility. And the report comes as U.S. workers of Stellantis are planning to go on strike. They have accused the car maker of failing to keep its promise. Last year, Stellantis assured U.S. workers that it would expand its factory in the country. And U.S. oil producer ExxonMobil is planning to sell some of its assets in North Dakota. The assets include wells in the Bakken Shale Formation, and they could fetch over $500 million for Exxon. Now, the firm acquired its rival Pioneer Natural Resources in May for $60 billion. Following this, ExxonMobil has been re-evaluating plans to divest non-essential assets. And stock prices of several Asian chip makers plunged today. Shares of Japan's Tokyo Electron dropped by 10%. In South Korea, Samsung and SK Hynix plunged by over 1%. And TSMC stocks also fell on Taiwan's stock exchange. And this came after Dutch chip equipment maker ASML cut its annual sales outlook yesterday. The Dutch firm said that while there is surging demand for advanced chips, demand for traditional chips will remain weak going forward. American chipmakers Intel and AMD have joined forces to compete with British rival ARM Holdings. Intel and AMD will form an advisory group to make their software and hardware more compatible. Other tech firms like Broadcom, Dell, and Lenovo will also join the body. Both Intel and AMD make chips for computers and data centers using a 40-year-old technology called x86. ARM Holdings has been capturing part of their market with a competing technology. American investment firm Blackstone plans to invest $8.2 billion in Spain. The firm will develop data centers in the Aragon region. Spain's Aragon has become a hotspot for data centers. Microsoft and Amazon have both submitted proposals to build data centers in the region. Italy says it is in talks with Google over an optical fiber cable base station. Google is developing a submarine fiber optic cable network across the Mediterranean. The network aims to link West Asia with Southern Europe. The Italian government says it wants the tech giant to set up the base station for the project in Sicily. And Apple has launched a new version of the iPad mini. The device comes with the iPhone maker's new A16 Pro chip. It also features Apple's new personal intelligence system called Apple Intelligence. The latest iPad mini provides better graphics and faster performance compared to its older versions. It also supports Apple's Pencil Pro. And moving on to sports, and we start with cricket. England has crashed out of the Women's T20 World Cup. The English women lost to West Indies by 6 wickets yesterday in a group stage match. Batting first, England set West Indies a target of 142. West Indies chased down the target in 18 overs. They will now play against New Zealand in the World Cup semi-finals. India's cricket board, BCCI, is set to take a call on Harmanpreet Kaur's future as the women's team captain. According to reports, the board will decide if a new captain needs to be named. Development comes after India failed to reach the knockout stage of the ICC T20 Women's World Cup. And Sri Lanka defeated West Indies by 73 runs in the second T20 international match against West Indies. Batting first, Sri Lanka made 162 runs. West Indies were all out for 89 runs in 16.1 overs. With this win, Sri Lanka have now levelled the 3-match series 1-1. And Australia's Perth will host the first test of the 2025-26 Ashes series. For the last 40 years, Brisbane used to be the site of the Ashes opener, but this time the honour will be Perth's. And the Ashes series between England and Australia is scheduled to begin on the 21st of November next year. And in football, Argentina thrashed Bolivia 6-0 in a World Cup qualifiers match. Lionel Messi of Argentina was the star of the game. He opened scoring in the 19th minute. Before half-time, goals from Lautaro Martinez and Julian Alvarez gave Argentina an unassailable 3-0 lead. Thiago Almada then hit the back of the net again in the 69th minute, and Messi wrapped up the show by firing 2 more goals late in the game. Chelsea's former head coach Thomas Tuchel will be England's next manager. The German is set to become the 3rd foreign manager of the Three Lions. His stint with England's men's football team starts from 2025, and he will assume his duties from the 1st of January. Tuchel replaces Gareth Southgate at the position, who resigned in July. And in badminton, ace Indian shuttler PV Sindhu has progressed to the second round of the Denmark Open. Sindhu is up against Chinese Taipei's Pai Yupo. Now, the Indian got a walkover after her opponent retired midway through the second set. Sindhu was leading 21-8, 13-7 when Yupo got injured. In tennis, Chile's Nicolas Jarry entered the round of 16 at the Nordic Open, and he beat Sweden's Elias Imar 2-6, 6-4, 7-6. The match lasted about 2 hours and 26 minutes. Jarry's next opponent is Miomir Kecmanovic of Serbia. And in golf, England has appointed Martha Brass as its new chairperson. Brass will be the first female chair of England Golf. She previously served as an independent director of the country's golf board, and Brass will succeed Ian Pattinson as the England golf chair. And Turkish shooter Yusuf Dikesh said that he wants to continue playing until the 2028 Olympics. The 51-year-old shooter is currently in India for the Shooting World Cup. Dikesh won a silver medal in the 10-meter air pistol mixed event at the Paris Olympics this year. His unique posture without any shooting gear went viral during the Olympics. And in entertainment news, pop singer Taylor Swift has begun the last leg of her Eras tour. She took to social media and stated that this tour has been the most wondrous experience of her life. The tour will conclude in Vancouver on the 8th of December. She also announced that she will be releasing the Tortured Poets Department, the anthology, on vinyl and CD. Meanwhile, Taylor Swift announced that after wrapping up her Eras tour, she will write a book. A 256-page book will be about her list of accomplishments. It will also have never-seen-before photos of her tour, and Swift announced this on the Good Morning America show. Singer Nick Jonas abruptly left his concert midway in Prague, and this happened after a person from the crowd aimed a laser at his head. His brothers Kevin and Joe Jonas continued with their performance as they didn't know what happened. The person with the laser was later removed from the venue. And Señorita singer Shawn Mendes has opened up about going into therapy. In an interview, Mendes said that it has helped him become a better version of himself. The 25-year-old singer is coming out with a new album titled Shawn after a long hiatus. The Canadian star said that working on this album has allowed him to return the most to himself. The music memorabilia owned by megastars like Michael Jackson, Jimi Hendrix are going under the hammer. Now the auction will have over 350 items and is scheduled for November. The souvenirs are expected to raise nearly $2 million. Items like jackets owned by Jackson and Hendrix unreleased demo recordings are on the list. And South Korean singer Hani has testified in the country's parliament on workplace bullying and artist treatment in the K-pop industry. She said that the executives at the label Adore undermined and isolated her. Hani also revealed that her manager instructed artists to ignore her. According to reports, Warner Brothers is set to lose nearly $200 million because of Joker Folie à Deux's bad performance at the box office. So far, the film has only managed to earn $162 million globally. In contrast, the film was made at a cost of approximately $200 million. Reports say the movie needs $375 million to break even. And Crypto, the superdog, will star in James Gunn's Superman. Gunn revealed the character has been inspired by his dog, Ozu, who he adopted after he began writing Superman. Crypto previously has appeared in DC's animated films, but this would be a first live-action drama. The superdog will then be moved to Supergirl, Women of Tomorrow. And actor Al Pacino said that he missed an Oscar award for his film Scarface. He said in an interview that the Academy completely snubbed the film. Al Pacino said even a nomination would have been nice. Scarface is very close to his heart, that he revealed, and Scarface is the 1983 American crime drama film. And Cooper Koch revealed in an interview that he didn't use a prosthetic for the nude shower scene in the film Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story. He stated he went completely nude for the scene without adding anything extra to his body, and the film is about the infamous Menendez brothers who were convicted of killing their parents in 1989. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Fast and Factual. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.